Made with Real Ginger, episode 7, maybe?
353.
Yes, 353.
I have no idea.
With Wobbly Bob, of course.
Well, hello there.
It really should just be Made with Real Wobbly Ginger. Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Doing a podcast on my own is not really feasible.
No, I've thought about doing my own too, but yeah, me, if I were to do my own, the thing is, I can't just sit here and talk because then I feel like it would go nowhere. Nothing would ever make any sense. So I feel the need to write everything down in order, this is how it will make sense. And this is how, people will get the most out of listening to it. And then you have like 18 pages and you took that much time to think about it, write it out. And, a half hour, 45-minute podcast now turned into something that has taken a week.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's so crazy. So we decided we were going to talk about like healthy options, kind of healthy living. Yes, which includes things like meditation.
Yes.
And,
because you were talking about being grounded, I think was what triggered it. And you said, if you just kind of put your hands on the ground.
Yep.
And nobody can see what I'm doing, but I'm actually doing the motion.
I can see what you're doing.
So yeah, that's I found that interesting actually because I've never really heard that or tried it for that matter. So
yeah, and I did it the other day or last week here at the station because there's a couple ways you can do it. So you can some people just put like their hand on a tree.
Okay.
And get like energy from the tree. Other people will barefoot in the grass is like the best way to really connect.
Well, and I was going to say now I've done, again, not thinking it was anything. And I think a lot of people do this without thinking, but at the beach, you kind of just put your feet in the sand and, without flip flops or shoes or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so like, when you said that, I was like, maybe I was doing it, just didn't know.
Yeah, it's very possible.
And maybe that's why I feel so much better at the beach.
Right. It's a very true thing. And it does work. So like last week I went outside because I love to go outside to take breaks. And then I took my shoes off and took my socks off and I just stood in the grass and closed my eyes and took some deep breaths because I struggle with anxiety.
Okay.
Like it's a very real thing.
Same here,
and it's like extra high with the pandemic and all that stuff. So I've been really trying to work on calming that down.
I got you, yeah.
That anxiety, man.
It'll get you.
Uh-huh. You don't eat, you don't function well. Like half the time I feel like I'm going to maybe pass out. So
right. And there's been a few times in my life where I'm like you. I've had real bad anxiety. But on the real here, my anxiety, believe it or not, comes from being at the station here, like being on air.
Yeah.
Because I am essentially worried about what other people think of me, because it is ratings based. Let's be real here. You know what I mean? You want people to like you so that you can continue to have a job.
Right.
And so, a lot of my anxiety comes from that. Other parts of life, like pandemic, I haven't really been. So I believe. I don't think I've. It is hot. I was thinking it too.
Hang on. Continue talking. I'm going to turn that fan on.
Okay.
While I can hear you talk about pandemic.
Well, now that you put me on the spot. No, but so like I said, there's only been a few times now. As far as the pandemic goes, I noticed I have been dreaming a lot more, and there's always something in the dreams anymore. They're not bad dreams, they're not nightmares, but there is a level of so my dream last night, really kind of crazy. I dreamt about Tiny from the Haywide, from WAYZ.
Yeah.
But me, him, his wife, and I believe it was his kid, we were all doing something. Like we were all like going somewhere. But for whatever reason, we had to like crawl under a house. It was really weird.
Bizarre.
And I was the only one who kind of got stuck. And here they are kind of like out in the distance, like, keep walking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, crap, like here I am, so it's like dreams like that. It's not like a nightmare, but it was kind of like that stress of I got to keep up. I got to, I think that's what it was about is I got to, get unstuck.
Get unstuck. It's very interesting. So I started working, so I'm very open about a whole bunch of things, right? So I see a therapist, but then along with that, I literally just started working with, I'm going to call her a trauma coach, because they call it like a healing coach, but I'm going to circle back to trauma, because we all have like childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Or that we don't even realize. Like it could be something so small. Like she was talking about how like being picked on in school is going to affect somebody the same way that like physical abuse would affect somebody as a child.
Okay.
Childhood trauma is, she hates to clump it together, but childhood trauma is childhood trauma, and it just affects your life going forward. So just since we're talking about like healthy things and thinking about like, so she suffered from a need to feel like she fit in or being accepted, stuff like that. So there's these like 6 key steps to help you work through these things. So you got to figure out what your core wound is.
Okay.
Right? So if you can,
which can probably be pretty difficult, right?
It can be. So it's really fascinating because she walked me through the process. So I'm like, what if you've like kind of blocked out a lot of stuff? And she's like, oh, I'll just, we'll go as far as we can go. And, we'll just start with the furthest back memory we can get out of you. And I'm like, okay. So she just kind of guides through the process. And we ended up finding like 6 core wounds that you can kind of work on. And then like the next step is to like pinpoint, like really trace back the memory. And then your third step is to write it out.
Okay.
So you journal out everything, like where you were, like as much detail as possible, and you let it just kind of flow until you naturally are just done. And she said sometimes it'll take you down different rabbit holes, and you might be able to identify a different core wound from that you can then, figure out that way. Now, we only got like halfway through. I have another call with her tonight. So, but you journal it, and then you share it with somebody.
I see.
So not with yourself, that's not going to do it, but you want to share it with another human.
Okay.
And it was really amazing because I did it yesterday.
Somebody who was involved or, okay,
it could be anybody.
Just a random, okay.
Yep, it could be your best friend. Okay. It could be, whatever, just another human.
Gotcha.
But it was really interesting because afterwards I felt like a big, like weight off my shoulders. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was really crazy because what I thought it was I didn't know what I thought, but what I thought it was going to address actually turned into something else. So it turned out to be a lot of guilt that I carried from my childhood over a certain situation.
Gotcha.
So it like alleviated that guilt almost like instantly.
Really?
It was like even my posture kind of changed.
No doubt.
Which is freaking fascinating.
Yeah.
So we got halfway through. So I'm looking forward to tonight to
No doubt. I would be too.
Yeah. What the next half of that is, because she's like, okay, after stuff like that, you need to do nothing. Like it needs to be all about the self-care after you.
Okay, see, I was wondering. I was like, so you just go on about life after that?
No, she's like, you got to meditate, you got to hot shower, bubble bath, whatever it is that you do.
To relax. Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm just going to sit on the porch and meditate because I love hearing the birds and all that stuff. So that's what I did. And I'm like, this is so great. And I felt so good. And then my anxiety got the best of me at like midnight.
Yeah.
Midnight, my brain woke me up with craziness.
Right,
for
understood.
2 hours. And I'm like, man.
Yeah, I can't imagine. What if I told you, I just want to know somebody else's perspective. Like when you said you like to meditate and you like to hear the birds and everything. I've been really like kind of teetering on something lately about how I really, but I think it... So many thoughts. Sorry.
No, please.
So I like that too. I like very, very quiet, very peace and quiet. But I feel like too much of that can actually make you go a little crazy.
I do agree. Yes, I agree with that.
But that's what I want.
Right.
Like not to be crazy, but to,
right.
I want the peace and quiet like 99.9% of the time.
Right, but
So-
it is. It's like a balance.
Yeah.
Finding that right balance for you, because I do think too much quiet can just.
It's weird because like sometimes on the weekends, so like I'll have these moments where I work, in my camper and do these things, and sometimes I don't even turn on the music. Like I'm just focused on what I'm doing. You know what I mean? and it's peace and quiet. Other than the little things that I'm doing, but I feel like it sets you in a different state of mind. So then when I come back on Monday, I kind of feel weird, almost like people are looking at me like I'm different. You know what I mean? Because I'm in this state. I don't even know what to call it, but I'm in this state of being that is different than when I'm here at work, which is very probably lively and laughing at everything. And so it's interesting what that can do for you.
It is. It's
what
very
it does
interesting
to you.
Yeah. Well, and so like lots of people will talk about how meditation in the morning is like the best thing you can do for yourself before you look at your phone, before you do anything.
Yeah.
So you can kind of set your intention for the day. Because while you're meditating, you can decide, okay, who do I want to be today? Do I want to be, a ray of sunshine? Do I want to be like full of intention and purpose? Or, how can I be a blessing today? Whatever the case may be, you can set your intention for the day in that 5-10 minute meditation period. And then it usually carries with you through most of the day.
Nice.
Other than, when you're
Anxiety gets the best of you.
Yeah. Which I think is also, so talking about anxiety in general, I think a lot of people don't really fully understand what it is. Because I didn't for a long time. And I suffer very much from it, more than I ever realized, because I didn't know what it was.
So how would you explain it to somebody who may not, like, say me? Like, maybe I don't really understand it.
I believe you do. But I believe you do because we talk about it.
Right.
But it's almost like it's physical and mental all at the same time. So for me, and I think everybody experiences anxiety different, but I can feel like a warming sensation.
Okay.
Like starting in my stomach and like radiating up. Like I can feel physically that I'm having anxiety, which is worry, concern, and a lot of these things trace back to like weird stuff.
Like you were saying, like even childhood, right?
Yeah. So I'll very openly, I have like abandonment issues. So something can trigger me. Like if, I don't know, somebody leaves the room.
Right.
That's super basic. And then, like somebody leaves the room and all of a sudden I can start being like, oh my God, they're mad at me. Oh my God. They're that. But it starts with like this warming sensation in my stomach. And then it just spirals. Like all of a sudden I get all these crazy thoughts and I'm trying to like predict what's happening and all that. And that, I think that's where it gets really crazy is I try to like mind read and jump to conclusions and get to the end. And I need the answer. I need the answer right now.
I think it's awesome that you almost can spot it right away. Because I think that's the problem. I think a lot of people can't.
Right.
And I don't think I do.
Oh.
But the way you just put that, I really liked it. Like when somebody walks out of the room, you start, I wouldn't notice that warming feeling, but 5-10 minutes after they've left, I'll start analyzing maybe something that they said that wasn't sitting right with me. Like, oh man, does that mean, were they a smart ass? Like for a reason? Like, do they, what did I do?
And that's anxiety.
And then I'll start thinking, to be completely honest, I do this thing where I think about everything I should have said.
Right.
I hate that. Because then I'll come up with something, like even people who aren't necessarily being malicious or anything like that, but, jokingly, we'll say something to you like, oh, you're dumb. Again, very basic.
Right.
But then I started thinking about all these things that I could have come back. Because I'm not real quick. I'm not, like, when it comes, because that's just not who I am. Like, I'm not a smart ass, for lack of better words.
Okay.
So I'll think about all these things that I could have said, and then I'll come up with one really good one. I'm like, dang it. Yeah, like, why didn't I think of that? I wish I would have, because it would have shut them down real quick. And, and it's crazy.
It is. It's totally bananas. And you made me think of something. Shoot. So like, and maybe you experienced this. I don't know. Because again, everybody experiences it different. But I was like explaining to somebody else here recently, like, anxiety, it manifests so different. Like right now I'm shaking my leg.
Right.
That's total anxiety.
Yeah.
It's like this pent up energy that just needs to be released. Or, like some people bite their nails. That's anxiety. Some people pick at their lips, like it's these weird tick-like habits that people have that are a manifestation of anxiety and they don't even know it.
You said two of them that kind of manifested with me that I do that I guess I kind of did know was anxiety, but over time, I think they become habits.
Okay.
So like you said something about biting your lips or whatever. I bite the insides of my lips. Yeah.
Interesting.
Like, and then also on my knuckles, there's like 2 spots on my knuckles.
You bite your knuckles?
If you ever see me like that, that's
Interesting.
what I'm doing. Like, and I fear, oddly enough, I fear that somebody's going to walk in when I'm doing that and they're going to think something like I'm picking my nose or something. You know what I mean? Because, you know, that close, it can kind of resemble that. But I've been doing things like that for as long as I can remember.
But that's the thing is I think you think they're habits, but they're coping skills.
Right.
They are a habit, but it's a coping skill habit.
And the knuckle thing, I stopped for the longest time. Like, as a matter of fact, because you can clearly see when you're, you know, picking skin off your knuckle. And for the longest time, it was like that had went away. Now, that being said, I've always referenced it to this thing where I used to ask people all the time when I was younger, like a lot younger, like a kid. Like, do you just have these spots on you that... The best way I can describe it is if somebody, say, just runs their finger across your arm, and it's just like, no, it's got to be harder. So you scratch your arm because that light little touch just didn't set right with you. It just didn't... You know, and I've always asked people that, like, do you ever experience that? For the longest time, no. It's always like, no, man, you're crazy. You're weird. Yeah. So and that's what I say. Like that was with my knuckles. I always just thought it was like this like thing that I just couldn't get a sense of that I couldn't get it. Like it had to be painful for me to feel it in a sense, which sounds really weird now that I say it out loud.
No,
you know, like,
but it makes sense.
Yeah,
it does make sense.
So, you know, just different form of anxiety.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's
coping, I should say. Yeah.
Coping skills for the anxiety.
Yeah.
Everybody by nature has anxiety. Like, that's how we know fight, flight, or freeze.
Gotcha.
Like, that, it is very natural. Like, that's how the cavemen knew to run from, you know, the dinosaurs or whatever. Were cavemen and dinosaurs around at the same time?
I don't know.
I don't even know. But they run from, you know, a predator.
I don't think they were, actually. But.
Well, they'd run from some sort of predator.
Yeah.
Because that's what anxiety does. It tells you if you want to fight, flight, or freeze. So it's just a chemical or whatever that exists within us.
Yeah.
So it's just how it
a bit of maybe
everybody.
even adrenaline.
Yeah. It can very much. I think it can be a producer of adrenaline for sure. So it's just figuring out. You know, now I don't think it's out of control for everybody. I think, you know, some people have anxiety disorders.
Oh yeah. Right.
I personally feel like I could be on the precipice of that. However, I also think I'm very situationally anxiety triggered. Yes,
I can agree. Like, I'm the same way on that, I think. I don't have anxiety 100%. I mean, there was a time, obviously, I think we all have those moments where it almost seems like you have anxiety 100% of the time a day. But, yeah, I think mine's situational, too. Like I say, you know, I'm not always biting the insides of my lips.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not always, but when something...
Yeah.
You know what's interesting to that though? You're always on me about quitting smoking.
Yeah.
I've always noticed like a few days after my last cigarette, I'll start biting the insides of my lips.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Like replacing one habit with another.
Yeah. Because like I've told you, and you might as well get it out there, I don't always smoke. It's not like I've actually come a long way. You know, it's like more so one cigarette a week at this point.
Good.
So
good.
Like a Friday night, I'm like, this is a reward.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
So, but yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, situational.
Yep. Now I can understand why I'm a former smoker.
Yeah.
You know, well, I think there was a social aspect to it for me. But if I think about it, you know, like there is something about the inhaling and exhaling.
Oh yeah, well, and then that's what they say. To be completely honest, like I have read about that, I've heard about it. People who think it's hard to quit smoking, if they put them down and do the same exact breathing exercise without a cigarette, will get the same sort of comfort.
Interesting.
Now, don't get me wrong. There's the whole chemical compound of nicotine and stuff like that.
Right.
But if you were to inhale and exhale as if you were smoking a cigarette, you would get some sort of comfort in whatever situation. Because, you know, people, like, when I think about it, I think restaurant. People go out and just, puff away because the restaurant business is rough and you get pissed and you need something. Yes. And you need something. So, but if you went out there as a restaurant worker and did the same exact breathing exercises, you would notice that your heart rate would, in a sense, slow down. You would be giving yourself more oxygen, which there in its own is more beneficial than smoking. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
It is pretty wild. And now we're just getting old and self-aware.
Oh my God, I know.
So we're trying to help out the people.
Yeah.
I wish I had known this stuff about myself 10 years ago.
Well, and that's the thing is when we're young, we're on top of the world. Not that we're old.
Right. Well, right. But
right.
You're invincible and you don't think about
you're
anything
angry.
Other than yourself.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
I
yes,
was.
yeah.
I was super angry. I was like, F the world and, I know it all and, and it's not that I never once came off that way around other people like, oh, I know it all. It was an internal thing. Yeah. It's like you'd listen to somebody and it's like you would find reasons not to what's the words I'm looking for? To understand what they're saying.
Right, yeah.
For lack of better words.
Yeah. Or and I think it's really interesting because I think as the conversation about mental health in general as a country comes around, I think it impacts, the fact that people can talk more about anxiety and because it is kind of becoming much more acceptable to talk about, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
I know the conversations we don't talk about. We don't talk about mental health enough. We don't talk
especially
about,
men.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to throw that out there.
Oh, my gosh. The, what is the word I'm looking for? The stigma around men and therapy of any kind is freaking asinine.
It is.
Like, it's out of control.
It is changing, though. Oddly enough, I saw on one of our prep sites that, the new man, it said something like, are you a new age man? Are you a, whatever. Because that is changing, too, to, go with your point here that it is changing in all forms, even for men. It talked about, if you feel it's okay to openly talk about your feelings, then you're basically a new age man,
Yeah.
And
I feel like
I'm on the brink there.
How the heck, and I'm realizing this in my later years, whatever, but like, how do you get through life not talking about your feelings, your thoughts, your whatever? Like, how that is where the anxiety comes from, because we are taught to stuff it down.
Yes.
You cannot feel this way. You're a hysterical woman, or you're too sensitive as a man.
Yep.
Right? So we're like, stuff it down.
Yeah, you can't cry as a man. Don't you do that.
Yeah. So then it's like you're just ticking time bombs.
Right.
We're all just literal ticking time bombs who one day are going to just completely explode. And I'm clearly on the precipice of that myself right now.
No, don't say that.
Clearly on the precipice.
And that's why things happen that, you see on the news.
Yeah.
Unfortunate things
too
because,
much for people.
Yeah, because people don't know how to cope. People don't know how to talk. And I mean, communication is key,
Oh, God.
We're gonna talk about mental health and everything. Let me tell you, communication is key for everything in life.
Yes.
Every aspect of life. I mean, all right, so 10 years, one of my favorite bands.
Okay.
Without, how does it, there's a song, and I'm trying to remember exactly how he puts it because it is beautiful. Without translation, we're just making sounds.
Yes.
I love it. Yes. One of my favorite lines in a song ever. Because that is what it is.
That's a really great, I love that.
Yes.
I found this meme. Yes, please. I found this meme. It says, a lack of communication ruins everything because instead of knowing how the other person is feeling, we just assume.
Yep. Correct. Mic drop.
Phone drop. But it's true. And then it's like you talk about, we could go down a whole other rabbit hole.
We could.
Because then you've got lack of communication, you've got lack of communication skills, and then you put people in a relationship who suffer from whatever they suffer from, and they're both stuffing it down and stuffing it down, and then you hit these breaking points, and it's like fucking volcanoes, just like, you know what I mean? Like, you wonder why shit gets crazy.
And it makes you wonder how couples back in the day who we're like trained to, you know, like you said, as far as a woman goes, don't say nothing.
Don't say nothing.
As far as a man goes, don't you talk.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Don't,
How did they even make it?
And you just stay together.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna like throw my headphones.
I know. Done.
I'm so done.
But this is how serious it is.
It is serious.
Yeah, it's very serious.
And people don't talk about it.
Right.
They don't.
And that's all we need. That's all we need to do in life.
For real.
You know?
Make it okay.
Yeah.
Tell everybody that it's, you know, it's okay. And like we were talking about this trauma coach, you know, because something like being bullied in middle school, which almost all of us go through.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But like, so it affects you depending on how you were parented. So if you're bullied in school and then you go home and you're trying to tell mom and dad, like, hey, I got picked on for this and this. If you've got a parent that's like, suck it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again,
a dad.
You're trained.
Yep.
You're trained not to have emotion.
Right.
It's not okay to not be okay with being bullied. But it is okay.
Right. It is, right?
It's okay. Your feelings were hurt. It is valid.
It is.
Sit in your feelings.
Yep.
Oh my God.
And understand them. Right. Understand why it is that you feel this way.
Yeah.
And, you know, and what you'll find at the end of the day is it's the bully who has those same sort of feelings.
Yeah.
Or, you know, maybe not the same sort of feelings, but he's doing it for a reason too. I say he because all bullies are men, or guys.
No, listen, there are some mean girls. There are some mean girls. Even at my age, there's some mean girls.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, you know, like we said, everybody's got these things, man, that just, yeah.
It's crazy.
It is.
I could literally talk about this stuff all day.
Oh, man, you and me both.
I'm like shaking. Shaking.
But, you know, I'm glad you kind of said that, actually, because it brings validity to the seriousness of this matter and how people need to really hear this.
Yeah. No, agreed.
Like, this is probably the most real podcast
for real
you're going to hear.
It's true. And I love that you engage in it in a transparent way, right? Because as a man, you could sit there and be like, no, that's stupid. No, that's
right.
stupid.
I'm a new age man.
Yeah, you're a new age man.
Unfortunately, I don't know.
Hey.
I don't know if that's good or bad. Like, I go both ways, you know?
No, it's so...
It sounded horrible.
It's not even new age. It's real.
Yes, right.
It's
real. Thank
real.
you. Yes.
Because everybody's pretending to be something that they're not.
Right.
That is what they're doing.
Yep.
They're pretending to be a great friend, a great husband.
Where do you think fake it till you make it came from?
They're all faking it.
Yep.
Everybody.
And that's what I actually pride myself on is being real. You've got to be real.
Oh my God. Authentic. Authenticity.
Yes.
Who cares? All the flaws. Raw fucking nerd.
Right.
Just whatever. Like it's just just clearly it's hitting a spot.
No, but
it's hitting a spot.
It should though.
Yeah.
It should with everybody.
It's so frustrating.
It should with the listener right now.
Yes.
If you're listening to this should be hitting you.
It should.
Yes.
And you should feel freedom in taking ownership of who you are.
Yeah.
And saying it's okay. It's okay that you have anxiety about this.
Yep.
It's okay if that made you feel bad.
Yep.
It's okay to be sad and mad and happy and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's all okay.
And don't let anybody tell you any different.
Yes. Because we are all human and we are all just trying to get through this shit together.
Exactly. I love that. We are all here trying to get through it together.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, we are. And everybody, you know, and these stupid memes that pop up, they're so true.
Yeah.
I have no idea other than, you know, we communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I see you every day at work.
Right.
But, like, I don't know what's really truly going on in your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if I'm coming at you crazy because
Yeah.
I've got my own shit going on and then I'm coming at you crazy, well, then you're going to come at me crazy.
Yep. And
you know what I mean?
I just told somebody that the other day. They and I can't remember who it was, and I can't remember exactly what they said, but they said something about, you know, a situation. And I was like, look, you've got to understand everybody is going through something. Everybody has a story. Mm-hmm. So you don't know, what it was. Okay, so it was actually my parents. I remember it now. It was my mom. She said she was walking into Walmart. And, you know, to give a little backstory here, my stepdad was in the doctor's office and, you know, he had a kidney stone and he was in so much pain. And she's just trying to get there and get his pain meds. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And she's a sweet, loving woman. Mm-hmm. All right. And somebody looks at her. She's got her mask on and thanks her for having her mask. And she was aware enough to tell me later on that day that they must have thought I was an asshole because I didn't say anything. You know, I just kept on getting it. And it's like, Mom, it's because you had something going on. That person hopefully realized that you've got something else going on, and they've probably got something going on that you don't know about, that nobody freaking knows about.
Stuff that you don't talk about.
Right.
The stuff that you don't talk about. And you know what? It should be okay to talk about it.
There
should be somebody that you can talk to
exactly.
about it. Like,
exactly.
Just know. And I know, like, not everybody wants to put all their shit out there all the time.
Well, everybody's
like,
afraid of being judged.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, we just shouldn't be judging people. You know what I mean? Because, again, we've all got something.
Yeah. We've all been through something.
Yeah, we've all got a story.
You know? Story.
Somebody once told me, too, the hardest thing for them, and this reigns true for me, the hardest thing it has ever been for me in life is realizing that not everybody thinks the way I do.
Oh, yeah.
Once you realize that, you start thinking about others.
Yeah.
Because you start thinking, okay, well, they should have reacted like this, but not everybody's like me.
Right.
Not everybody's going to, and it's okay.
And it's okay.
It's okay.
Guess what? You're a Republican, you're a Democrat, and that's okay.
It's okay,
you
right.
do not have to hate each other for it.
Exactly.
I don't understand that noise.
Nah, me neither. What I don't understand is why we're limiting things to black and white on that.
Right.
You know,
All right, the
two-party situation. Dude, there is gray. There is gray.
There's always gray.
There's always gray.
You've got to have more options because it's more than just this or that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little bit of this, it's a little bit of that, and it's some of this over here.
Right.
You know, like just like reality is there's your side of the story, there's my side of the story, and then there's the truth.
Thank you. Yeah, that's another one that I'll go back to my mom. She's always said since I was a kid, there's three sides to every story. His side, her side, and the truth.
Yep. Amen.
You know what I mean?
And they ain't lying.
Right.
They ain't lying.
Right.
As parents, they know things.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. I literally could talk about this shit all day.
Oh, yeah.
I could just talk about it. And I get so worked up about it because it's so, like, I am currently in this very moment, I would say, as my therapist would say, taking my power, right, and going, you know what, in my life, in my circle, in my day, I deserve truth from people.
Absolutely.
I deserve truth from people. There is no reason that I shouldn't get the truth.
Right.
So people need to just learn how to be okay
with telling the truth.
Telling the truth. Take ownership of whatever it is.
Exactly.
If I've done wrong, I have no problem taking ownership of it.
And, you know, and I've always been the same way. Seriously. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I say always, but there was a point in my life when I was a kid that I'll remember. And again, I'm sorry, but I'm talking about my mom again. Yeah. She's given me probably some of the best advice in my life. So there was a point when I was a kid, I was lying about things. It was stupid stuff. You know what I mean? I broke a glass. Okay. Thought I was going to get in trouble for it. So, you know, my mom asked me, "Hey, did you break that glass?" "No, Mom." She's like, "Look, I know you did." And the thing is, I'm not going to get mad at you. You just have to be honest about it.
Just be honest.
You know, things happen. And that's the thing about it, is you've got to learn that, you know, even if somebody is going to be mad, it is so much better just to be honest.
I agree.
You know?
It's the only way, because if you aren't, you have to live with that the rest of your life.
And it creates even more problems. It really, really does. Not only on you, but other people.
Yes. And you have to live with it. You have to live with the fact that you never told the truth.
Right.
And how you live with that guilt for forever, I don't know. Because that's one of the trauma things. I just told you that. Like, and I think I said it on the podcast. I don't even know. I'm blind. I'm like blinded by my anxiety. But like, I carried this guilt from my childhood. So imagine, making a conscious choice to not tell your truth.
Yeah.
And then to carry that guilt into death.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that.
No, right.
I don't want that. I want it
Nobody
out.
should.
All of it. Out. F it.
Yeah, right.
I'm done.
Right.
I'm done being something that people think I am. You know what I mean? Like, I'm done wearing a fucking mask. I'm not like Not like
No,
literally.
right. Not the coronavirus mask.
Yeah, which
right.
I totally went to Sheetz earlier,
Yeah.
and I have my mask in my purse.
Yeah.
But I was so like distracted, I like opened the door and I'm like, oh, my mask.
You're used to 30 plus years of not wearing one.
Yeah,
Right?
I saw the guy with the mask. I'm like, hang on, put my mask on. That was a total rabbit hole. But like, just as we're talking, I'm just having these epiphanies, and just thank goodness for this podcast today, because it is freeing me from so much personal bullshit right now that like I can't, like I'm excited
Because you're not alone.
I'm not alone.
You're not.
But not only that, like I'm done pretending. I'm done pretending that I don't have questions, or that I don't doubt myself, or that I don't, because everybody does it.
Exactly.
Everybody doubts themselves. We all think of ourselves as who everybody else thinks we are.
Right.
I'm done with it.
And another thing I read one time and I loved it. Believe it or not, it was JD who posted it on Facebook. It wasn't a meme. I guess it was a meme. But it said something about everybody has a different view of who you are. So we all, in a sense, have a million different personalities.
True.
Because everybody sees you differently.
And because they see you through their own lens.
Exactly. How they want to see you.
How they want to perceive you.
Right.
Yep.
So just circling back here, that's why you just need to be true to yourself.
True to you.
Yeah.
Boo. Crystal,
Yeah.
as Crystal from the Hayride would say. You do you, boo. I don't know where I think they're waiting for us for lunch, though.
They might be.
Well, for me, at least.
Right.
You don't participate when they get lunch,
No, because I bring my lunch and I like to save money.
Be true to you.
Yeah, right.
It's all
Yes.
good. You do
Love
you,
it.
boo. All right, and on that note,
Yeah, it's a good way to
I'm
end
going to take
it.
my hyped up ass off of here. So, thank you.
Thank you.
This is literally the realest podcast.
You'll ever get.
And I can't wait, because now we're going to do more.
Yes.
And we're just
We
gonna
should.
go.
This is what we should be talking about.
100%.
This is what the world needs.
That'll be what the next one is. It's going to happen. Okay, I'm hitting the button.
Okay.